It's great to be here with everyone today. Thank you, Governor, for being here, and welcome to our legislative leaders and supporters. Unemployment benefits are a vital component of the social safety net. We've seen that over the last year, nearly 580,000 residents have depended on state or federal benefits to keep them afloat during the pandemic. The COVID unemployment did not happen like a normal recession, as you know. There was no gradual trending down of jobs in the economy. The pandemic caused an abrupt loss of jobs. One day people were at work, and the next day businesses were completely shuttered. Businesses in our workforce were damaged in a way we've never seen before here in the state of Connecticut. And even when the economy picks up, businesses will see an increased tax burden to offset the cost of borrowing trust fund dollars, and that can impact their ability to hire. Creating a viable trust fund will help reduce the financial uncertainty that hinders economic growth and hiring. I'd like to introduce to the podium Representative Sean Scanlon as Chair and Ranking Member of the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee. Sean is in the front lines of our recovery efforts. Sean?
Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, everybody. I am Sean Scanlon, the House Chair of the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, and I'm here today really excited to be here with a great group of people behind me to announce what I perceive to be a very historic day in Connecticut, where we can say that we have reached, through a lot of hard discussion and hard compromise, a really good deal to do a really important thing, and that is to make sure that our unemployment trust fund is solvent for the first time in a very, very long time. And even better than that is the fact that we can say that we are going to lower the responsibility and the burden on the vast majority of businesses in this state when it comes to unemployment taxes because of that solvency. This is an issue that I have not been working on for as long as some of the folks that are behind me. I'm relatively new at this gig, but there have been people who have tried to do this for a very long time. And I think why we're able to stand here today is a couple reasons. Number one, obviously, we just experienced the highest stress on this system in the history of that system, besides when it was founded during the last great economic crisis in this country. But number two, I think people had a will to get this done because they see how important this is, and they understand how important this can be for the state of Connecticut. And so I want to thank everybody who's here today. David Lyman, who is not here, the governor's economic czar, was instrumental in working with me and his staff, business, labor, Republicans, Democrats. We came together to get this done because the people of Connecticut wanted us to get this done. And the fact that we did, I hope, gives them confidence that it's a new day in Connecticut, that we're giving them the hope that we are solving big problems, we're tackling them together, Democrat and Republican, and we're answering things that we know need answers. It wasn't easy. We had a lot of frank conversations, but we got this done, and I think all of us should be proud, and I hope the people of Connecticut are proud that we did what they always ask us to do, which is to roll up our sleeves and get things done for them and put aside politics. So thank you all for being here today. It's my pleasure to introduce my partner, the ranking member of my committee, Representative Holly Cheeseman, who I was proud to work with on this and so many other things. Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you so much, Sean. And I want to echo Sean's words, Commissioner Westby's words. It could have been so easy for everyone gathered around here to walk away because one party or the other didn't get exactly what was wanted. But we shouldn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good when the goal at the end of the day is the one we all want: to support the businesses in our state, large, medium-sized, and small, that give our residents the jobs they need to feed their families, keep a roof over their heads, and those dollars from those businesses fill that fund. By Creating this fix, we ensure not only that the businesses don't undergo those dramatic increases that they've paid in the past, but put them on a sustainable path that ensures they are there to create the jobs for our residents, and when times are tough, that the fund is there to ensure our people have what they need to weather the storm. I know this governor's goal, and everyone's goal up here, is to create a state where success breeds success and brings everyone to the table. So I'm so proud to have been included in this effort, so proud that everyone put ego aside and put what's best for the state first, and this is a great day for Connecticut. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Minority Leader Vincent Candelora, who's been involved in this for a long time, and I'm sure is celebrating this day as well. Vin?
Thank you, Holly. And I want to thank the governor and his administration, of course, my colleagues and the trades industries and CBIA for coming to the table. You know, over the last 15 years, we've seen our unemployment fund need to be overutilized because of recessions. And because of that, the fund has gone insolvent, creating a sluggish recovery to our economies and much uncertainty. This is just one of the issues that our caucus certainly felt was important for us to try to address as we come out of this pandemic, to bring certainty to businesses. And, you know, it's been through the collective suffering over the last 15 years of adjusting to the fund and trying to replenish it as the well has gone dry. And through that collective suffering, I think we were able to come to a common ground and recognize that at times like these, compromise is very important. And so I just want to thank those industries for coming to the table and showing a willingness to listen to all sides and come up with a proposal that I think is going to put Connecticut's economy in a better position. And so with that, I'd like to introduce David Roche from the building trades.
Thank you, Representative. And I want to thank all the legislators, Governor Lamont, Commissioner, and my working partners getting this done. This was an important issue. To fix the insolvency, but coming from where I come from, I understand what it's like to collect unemployment and how important it is. It's a lifeline sometimes. When you come out of the construction industry, there's times, because we live in the Northeast where we just can't work, right? If there's snow and rain, we go home. If there's, if it lasts, we can be out of work for a long time. And so them unemployment benefits are vital to us being able to stay here in Connecticut and continue our careers in the construction industry. So I just want to thank the group. I think it's another example of when we work together, labor and management, we can get things done. I think that's the only way to get things done. We're proving it again here, and I hope we can continue to do things to keep improving and move Connecticut forward. And with that, I'd like to introduce one of our partners, Chris DiPantima.
Thanks, Dave. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks, Governor and the representatives for having me here today. We represent thousands of businesses across the state of Connecticut at Connecticut Business and Industry Association, or CBIA, and I cannot understate or overstate how historic this is for the state of Connecticut. The Unemployment Trust Fund has been broken for years, as you all know, and what members and businesses have demanded for years is more predictability, more certainty, more stability so they can plan their businesses, and that's exactly what this agreement does. It brings predictability and stability to a very broken fund. So I know long-term solutions and long-term reform are not something that is very exciting today, but they are things we look back on years down the road and realize how important they were for our state, for our businesses, for the employees, and for all of our residents. Think about the volatility cap passed in 2017 and how critical that has been to the success of our state. We're going to look back years on this day and this agreement and applaud this group for coming together, bipartisan, business and labor, all sectors, and supporting what is critical to bring stability and predictability. So, Governor and the representatives, I look forward. This is not the end of this session. This is hopefully just the beginning of further collaboration, strong public-private partnership, so we continue to move our state forward, rebuild our state, change the narrative through reimagined policy. So, Governor Lamont, thank you. I applaud you for this.
All right, I guess I'm up. This is historic, I think, for a couple of reasons. One, thank you for what you did. I got to tell you, we have a lot of long festering problems in the state that don't get solved. And I have Dave Roche and Christy Batima, labor and business standing side by side, and Sean and Holly, what we had to do to step up and fix a problem that's been here for a long time, and you've done it. And I say it's a long time. Our unemployment trust fund has been technically underwater, bankrupt for 48 out of the last 50 years. And just when we're making progress, the last 2 or 3 years, we got another $250 million into the fund. Bingo, it got slammed by COVID. And Kurt knows, Dave knows better than anybody how important it was that unemployment was there when people needed it. And every once in a while, you look over your shoulder to see we're getting underwater in that fund again. And we know what that can mean to small business, right? We all come out of small business. I think it's what a lot of us have in common here, and what that could cost us. And this is a really fundamental reform that's taking place right now. It's a reform in the sense that it's going to represent, as Sean said, a tax cut, at least a reduced contribution for about 73% of the small businesses. Those are the small businesses that are sort of stable businesses. Those are the small businesses that don't lay off people. Those are the small businesses that are growing. And they should not pay as much because they don't put as much of a load on the unemployment trust fund. And some of those other businesses we've raised and said, look, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. There's a small minority of those to step up to make sure that because you have more unemployment claims, you're going to pay a little bit more. And we're stepping with them as well. I mean, Kurt and I really tried to roll out this year a shared work program, right? And those are for those manufacturing and others that maybe they have the business off, they got to hold back. Rather than lay people off, we'll step up. We'll pay for half their payroll for a period of time, half their salary, just to make it easier for people to stay employed, and they don't have to go on unemployment. But sometimes you do. And when you do, I want to make sure you have the confidence that you know that your unemployment check is going to be there. We're keeping an eye on you. And we could not do it without the people standing behind me. They made the necessary agreements, the compromises. Holly said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We made a good deal that puts this on a solid footing, raises us approximately $100 million additional in the out years going into this fund, puts us on a path to fiscal solvency. We got a lot of work to do, but this is a great day and a good start. Vinny, thank you for you and all the team here. Let's vote and get this passed, all right? You good? Questions?
Describe, is this a specific bill? Just what is the vehicle and how would it work?
So the governor introduced a bill to our committee, the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee. Holly and I have spent the last few weeks working with our partners in labor and the business community to come up with a compromise. We worked through the weekend up until yesterday, and yesterday we reached an agreement. We wanted to share the news about that because at some point in the next 24 to 48 hours before our committee deadline, we will pass this bill out of our committee, I'm confident, with bipartisan support.
What is the bill number?
6643. Right? 6633.
And you said that some businesses will have a tax cut, others they might have a tax increase. How does this work?
So 73, Chris can explain this better if he wants to, but 73% of the businesses in Connecticut, we believe, will get a tax cut because of the change that we're making to make sure the fund is solvent. I'll let these guys explain how the taxes impact them personally, but 73% is the number that we've calculated that we see. Obviously, 3/4 of the businesses in Connecticut probably listening today, pretty welcome news for them.
In addition to that, can you just give us a breakdown, kind of an overview of what the changes are going to be?
Yeah, so the basic gist is, and anybody else can jump in here if they want to, is the taxable wage base is what the businesses use to determine their tax rate. That is changing from $15,000 to $25,000. It's the first time that's changed since the 90s. The amount of money that a person needs to earn from a business, from a job, until they can qualify for unemployment is changing from $600 to $1,600. And that's the first time that's changed since 1968. And in addition to that, and probably most notably, the tax structure of how people get taxed, how they get assessed the tax, is changing to, again, make sure that we have the right amount of money going into the fund so that it can become solvent. And I can talk to Chris, or allow Chris to talk about that, because he's probably more well-versed in that than I am.
Yeah, happy to jump in. And some of the other things that now severance will have to be exhausted before you collect unemployment. For a while there was that double, you were able to kind of double collect, if you will. That's a significant impact. That's about a $50 million impact to the solvency of the fund. And Jody, kind of to answer your question, this is an insurance premium, so think of it as an insurance premium, right? Businesses buy this premium to protect them. What's happened because of the insolvency of the fund is that all businesses, whether they use unemployment, reduced headcount or not, are paying significant dollars into this fund. By adjusting the rate, the taxable wage base that Representative Scanlon mentioned, the threshold, putting a cap for a couple of years so that the maximum doesn't go up, what it does then is those who are really using the fund and obviously going through a lot of layoffs and unemployment, they're going to pay a higher tax. Those who aren't, which are pretty much most businesses in Connecticut, will actually be paying a lower tax and have a discount. And that's why the governor mentioned the shared work program. This really now causes companies to think, if they're at the cap, or before they get to the cap, should I use a shared work program? Should I do something else before just letting an employee go?
What's the current status of the fund? I know it was, I think, broke last year, and we've already started federal borrowing. Is that correct? Can you give me an update on that?
The fund has borrowed about $712 million. I think we have about $3.8 million in the trust fund right now. So we will continue to be borrowing in the future, but probably at at least for a few months, at a lower rate, because we have tax revenues coming in. But there will be increased borrowing in the future.
So when do you feel like, if this passes, solvency would be possible? I'm imagining it's not the moment it passes, we have solvency.
Certainly not the moment it passes. This is a long-term, comprehensive solution that we think is viable and will not hurt business to any rough extent. So it's hard to predict that based on the amount of unemployment that will be in the future, but it will definitely be years before we hit solvency.
And so it'd be $100 million is what we're expected to bring in once this begins every year. I mean, is this enough to prepare us for, God forbid, the next pandemic, the next recession?
Well, it's enough to prepare us for the next pandemic if the next pandemic is way down the line. But there also are some provisions that relax the experience rating rules for the near term also, such as the shared work program that the governor brought up. So we think that there are provisions that deal with the short term, and the extra monies deal with the more long term. And I believe that $100 million is a bit conservative of an estimate.